Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the 2U's of 2U's Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at 2usfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our 2U's Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Marsha. How are you, and how is your garage?
I'm fine. I'm a little tired, I will admit. I've not talked about. Have I talked about my garage? I don't
No, only your
Well, I've talked
only your
about,
basement.
I know. My garage is similar to my basement, and it's chaotic. So what I've done, I came back from Alaska, and I did post it on Instagram that I had one of those pods delivered. I don't know if they have those around the country, but it's basically, have you ever seen them in Salinas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
so
a storage
don't know what
bin.
Yeah, it's like a little storage unit that's delivered to your house, and it can stay there. Or I think they also use them for moving too.
Yeah.
Like if you are moving, I think cross country too. And a lot of times when people are going through models, they'll put things in a pod. Well, anyway, so if people don't know, I have a 3-car garage, and I have my car in one bay. My brother stores his car. He has a small little car that's his, spare car, I guess. That is always in one of the bays. And then Ben has the third bay is like his shop where he has all of his tools, and he works on the motorcycles and he works on the bicycles. He has all his climbing equipment in there. And so I don't know why I decided to do this. It was really kind of dumb now in hindsight, but I'm doing it and I like it. Actually, it's a lot of work. I took everything out of the garage, put it in the pod. Big things stayed in there, but and then the people who painted the exterior of their house came back and they painted the interior white because it's just, studs and plywood. And then, that's what you see on the inside. Mm-hmm. And it's the plywood that was used for the forms to build the foundation for the garage. So it's really ugly plywood, and it's super, super dark and not very well lit. And so the whole thing with ceiling and walls were painted white. The floor stayed the same, the gray that it always is, just the concrete. And so now I'm emptying the pod and putting everything back. And the bummer thing is the pod was supposed to be delivered to the driveway of the garage so I could just pull things out, but they couldn't maneuver it into the back where the driveway, so they put it on the street in front of my house. And Kelly, you know what it looks like. I have
stairs,
25 stairs,
pretty steep
from this.
A pretty steep descent, yeah.
Yes. And so anyway, to empty it, I had to carry everything down the stairs or put it on a hand truck or the wheelbarrow and walk it around the block to the front.
Yeah, right.
And so I finally thought I can just use the car. So I have a station wagon, so I was able to, I just put a tarp back there, and then I just started loading things, and then I would drive it around to the front and put it in the
That's
pod.
A really good idea. Yeah.
So I'm going to have to really clean my car up, though, because even though I had a tarp in there's a lot of pine needles and debris back there. But anyway, that'll all clean up. So now it's all been painted, and I've been putting things back, and I've emptied about half the pod and doing the same thing. Some things are too big. I just have to wheel them around. I can't get them in the back of the car, but like all the gardening tools and stuff, I've just been putting in the back and driving it back to the driveway. So that's been going on. And then there's a lot of things, I may have talked about this, but there's a lot of things in the garage that my brother had put in there.
I was going to say, that don't belong to you?
They don't belong to me. And like there was probably 50 boxes of ceramic tile that he was going to possibly use in his kitchen. And they've been in the garage probably 20 years, and nothing's ever happened. And they've been moved now about 5 times. So I decided I went up to the hardware store and got a pallet, and they're sitting in front of the garage. I've got all the tile on there. I have a bunch of columns, that I had thought I was going to use. I don't know what I was thinking. And that's not even the point now. Let's not look backwards. We'll look forward. Right. Anyway, I'm getting rid of all that stuff.
And listeners who have been listening for a long time know about the way your brother Mark can seduce you into buying things.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And not just you. And when I say you, I mean can seduce one into buying things. It's his superpower.
Yes. It's not just me.
Yes.
And
it's his.
You felt.
It's his superpower.
Superpower.
Yes.
Yes. And you have felt the effects. Right?
I have felt the effects. Robert has felt the effects. Yes.
Yes.
Many people in your circle have felt the effects of Mark's superpower.
And part of some of the stuff is just never going to be used. Right.
Right.
But I've also, what I learned with that utility sink, going on about that is that when you buy things at the architectural salvage place, they're not that expensive. But the real expense comes into how you modify it and and to find somebody to put it in. If you have the skill set to do whatever, plumbing, electrical, whatever it is, welding, whatever, if you have that skill set, it's great. But if you don't have the skill set and you have to hire somebody, it's very difficult to find people to work with architectural salvage material. They want to use new material. Right. It's easier. There's a lot more. It's just a lot more work, right? To figure it out and it costs more. So I've decided I'm kind of done with that, unless it's something that's really, really easy. Buying brass. I've been, going through trying to replace all the plastic switch plate covers with brass. I can do that. That's super easy. I can use a screwdriver and do that. Right. But when you get into electrical and ceramic tile and sheetrock, I can't do any of that kind of stuff. You have to hire it all done. Yeah. So anyway, it's all going back to the architectural salvage place. So I finally heard back from him. I sent an email, but the guy who makes the decision has been on vacation. So we now are in communication. So hopefully I'll get it out of here soon.
Oh, that's good.
Anyway, it's been kind of a big project, and I knew it was going to be big, but in your mind, you think it's let's move everything out of the garage. Right. But then you actually have to physically do it, and it's 90 degrees.
Right. And it was all complicated by
anymore.
Yeah. That too.
That's the big thing. I'm not
but it was also complicated by the fact that you were going on your trip. Right? I mean,
yes.
Before you left for the trip, we were having conversations about you didn't know when the painters were coming and could you get it all out of the garage and back in the garage before you left and the timing, and then it got postponed. I mean, then you were able to postpone it until after you left, which is good.
Well, and I wasn't planning on getting the pod. I was just trying to figure out where I was going to store all this in the backyard. And part of my concern was leaving for 2 weeks with all of Ben's tools in the backyard, unsecure. And then I finally, I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but it just popped into my head. Well, I should get one of those pods because they're secure. They're all locked up. And, so once I got that, then it made a lot more. It happened because I
so now you're moving everything back in, and you're happy with the work.
So I'm trying to think when they finished. I think they finished Saturday. So I started Sunday, and this is Wednesday. So I've worked 3 days.
Yeah,
and I've got the pod half cleared out, and started putting things back. And I did have to get. I had taken down pegboard where all my garden tools hang up. I tried to take it down and not break it, but it had been nailed up, so I couldn't take it down without destroying it. So I had to go buy more pegboard, and now the garage is white, so I painted the pegboard white. So I did that yesterday, but now the one thing is I need to find someone to help me get the pegboard up because I can't. They're 4x8 sheets, so I can't.
How do you hold it up while you?
Yeah. So I'm working on that, but my goal is to get the pod cleared out by Friday. So I've got today and 2 more days to get all cleared out so they can come and pick it up because I don't want it sitting out there anymore. But I should also tell you, I don't know, I guess I haven't told you this, but this is off my garage, but it's chaos around my house. I also had a house guest in the middle of all of this because my friend Joel, who's the fellow I visited in Palm Springs, he came up and he was supposed to stay with my brother. But Mark had COVID. The first time he's had COVID since this whole thing started, and he was really sick and tested positive for a long time. And so Joel couldn't stay there. So he stayed with me, which meant I had to, when it came back from Alaska, I was starting the garage project. And so I thought, I'm not going to worry too much about cleaning my house.
Right.
Because no one's coming to my house.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, like, oh my goodness, someone's coming to my house. So I spent a day like cleaning to get ready for him. So anyway.
Oh my gosh.
So there's been a lot going on. And then, but the other thing that's going on too, and it's not my project, but it's affecting me, is my next door neighbors to the north of me are putting in a new sewer line.
Oh, you did talk about this the last time, I think. Yeah.
Oh, did I?
Big trench on the side of your house?
Yeah, so I can't get around the north side of my house at all. All of the dirt is piled up against my stairwell. And so, yeah, and I don't know what happened. There was a lot of activity for 2 days. They created this mess. That was a week ago, and nothing's going on. So I'm kind of wondering what the deal is. Because I think your sewer line, I would think you'd have to move pretty quickly on that. But I don't know. I just got that big pile of dirt sitting out there, and Kelly, the hole is 10 feet deep.
Oh my gosh.
So you can imagine how much soil that is that's piled up against my house. So anyway.
Wow.
But everything will be back to normal soon. But anyway, I wanted to ask you though, because Barry won you've been doing rallies.
Yes.
I want to hear about that.
Yeah. So this past weekend and the weekend before, we had shows. So we had 2 shows. They do morning and afternoon shows. So they can have 2 separate shows in one day. Some clubs that, if they're smaller shows. So 2 Saturdays ago, we had 2 shows, a morning show and an afternoon show with the Monterey Bay Club. And then this past weekend, we had 2 days of shows, Saturday and Sunday, with the Salinas Valley Club, dog training club. So they were obedience trials and rally trials. And I did not enter both dogs. I just entered Barry, and I entered him in rally. And when I first was thinking about my plans for when he would go in, I had entered them both in September, thinking, he couldn't be ready in August, late July, early August. And then I decided, no, I wanted to enter him. And mostly my reasoning was, if I entered him at the end of July and August at our local shows, it would be a good opportunity for us to just go and hang out at the shows for the whole weekend with both dogs, getting them kind of used to the environment, without having to go anywhere, right? It's all from home. And so, we went, and so I entered him, and I trained. Once I entered him, I trained with an eye towards qualifying. I didn't just say, okay, we're just going to go and not care. But he qualified all 4 shows. So the 2 shows, 2 weekends ago, and then the 2 shows this weekend. He qualified in all 4 shows, and in all 4 shows, he actually got placements. He got first place in 2 shows, second place in a show, and third place in a show. And his scores were all really high, except for the day that I made the mistake and lost 3 points for us. Even that was a good score. But anyway, he looked so good. He did so well. I was so proud of him. And we brought a big, giant cake from Rosine's. Those really tall 6-layer round cakes. Yeah. Robert ordered a cake once he got his title. It's a tradition to bring a cake to class. So Robert ordered a cake from Rosine's, and we brought the cake to class. And anyway, he's a star. He just did so well, and I was so pleased with how he did. it was just great. And then the fourth day, so it takes 3 legs, 3 qualifying scores to get the Rally Novice title. And so he had that already. On the 4th day, on Sunday, the 4th show. And so Robert said, I'll show him on, if he gets his title, I'll show him on the 4th show. And I said, sure, because, Robert had been giving me a hard time about making mistakes and right from my left and all that. I'm like, yeah, it's not as easy as it looks. Anyway, so Robert showed him on Sunday, which was fun to see. So I got to just relax and hang out and watch and take a video. And so it was fun. We had a really good time. Barry did great. Bailey did great. She was just hanging out with me, but we did some training, on the side. And she was good with all the distractions and stuff. So yeah, it was fun. We had a really fun weekend.
Nice.
Yeah.
What a good boy.
I know.
He did a good job.
Yeah.
And Kelly, if I think back to when you first got him, because you've had him now, 3 years? And when you first came home, the only way you could get him to sit down is he would just sit down on his own because he was tired of standing because he was so heavy, right?
Yes.
And he had no real
he had no training.
Mm-mm. He had no training, and what kept him from doing things, is that he was just so heavy.
Yeah, and lethargic.
And lethargic, because of his thyroid issues. So, he's just done an amazing job.
Yeah,
and you've done an amazing job because you have worked with him a lot.
He's been a project. Yes.
Yeah. So, good job for both of you.
A really fun project. Yeah. No, he's a great dog. He still has his issues, but vastly improved. This summer, he just kind of turned a corner, and things have just been going really well. So on Friday, we're going. This is now turned into the dog podcast, the Dog and Garage podcast.
If you came for knitting,
yeah, we're sorry. No, we're not. We're not actually sorry.
Dog podcast.
On Friday, we're going to barn hunt, just to watch. There's a woman in Prunedale who does barn hunt and on her property, and so we're going to go and we're going to watch all the dogs do barn hunt and see if maybe barn hunt is something the dogs would like to do.
So, Kelly, for people who don't know what barn hunt is, maybe tell them what it is.
Yeah, so pet rats are not wild rats, but pet rats, the kind you see at the pet store. Put them in these tubes, like a big PVC tube with holes in it, so their scent can spill out. And so they hide these tubes in amongst bales of straw, and then the dogs go in and hunt for the tubes with the rats in them. And there are also some tubes that don't have rats in them. So you can't be sure, even if you see that your dog is, sniffing on a tube, you can't be sure there's a rat in it, only by the actions of your dog. So you have to be able to tell. You have to be able to tell your dogs
that it's found a rat or found just an empty tube.
Yeah. Sort of like when you hunt. You have to know when your dog is getting birdie, so you can be ready to shoot when they flush the pheasant. And so anyway, that's, yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say something when you said that, just sort of like I can tell when Enzo's going to take when I take him for a walk.
Yes,
right?
There are telltale signs.
There's telltale signs. So yeah, anyway, I'm sorry.
So it's about the handler understanding the dog's telltale signs. So we're going to go watch barn hunt and see if maybe that's another game we want to play with the dogs.
Yeah,
so
that'll be fun.
And I will just segue because of the weekend because of the weekends of dog shows and lots of waiting around, I did a little bit more on the green yarn, the Tockley spun yarn. I don't have it in the show notes, but one of the shows I did a little bit more on that, and not too much. And then the last weekend, I started a pair of socks out of the Smerligans yarn that you brought me from Southern California when you went on your trip. And it's a green, purple, and natural white color. Really pretty. The colorway is called Desert Lavender. And I've just started, I'm knitting on them right now, and I've just started working on the heel of the first sock. So I've gotten quite a bit done between the shows and dog training class. I've gotten quite a bit done on these socks.
I'm just going to go to your page. You have them in, have you posted them?
I do, yes. I have them in my page. The color's really nice, and it actually is a very good replica of what the desert lavender plant looks like, because I have one in my front yard. And because of the way the flowers are sort of puffy, I'm using a combination of seed stitch and stockinette. I think it's seed stitch. That's knit one, purl one, knit one. Seed or moss, whichever. I think it's seed stitch. Anyway, I'm using a combination of 2 rows of seed stitch, 2 rows of stockinette, and it kind of looks like the puffiness of the flowers. So I just started the heel today.
Cute.
Yeah, so that's a new project for me. And then I have another new project, which is a spinning project. I started on a braid of fiber that I had. It's a greenwood fiber. I bought it in Lambtown last year when I went to Lambtown. And so I'm spinning that on the Wyatt wheel. So that's another tool that I'm using this summer. So I can check another tool off the list, another spinning tool off the list. And I've just barely started. I haven't even made much progress on the first bobbin. I started yesterday. And the reason I started it yesterday is because I was finished with almost 14 ounces of gray, very thinly spun yarn that got made into a 3-ply that is pretty much a light fingering weight. And that was a long gray project. And I was ready for dyed braid. So I started that spinning project. And I also did some carding yesterday on this Shetland swim bath project. So I finished carding the bats that only went in the swim bath and didn't go into any kind of hot water wash. And they're kind of unpleasant, I have to say, to card, because they are still sort of grimy and greasy. So I'm not super looking forward to spinning them, which is another reason that I didn't just jump right into spinning another, spinning that project. I'm taking a little break from my own processed yarn and doing a commercially prepared braid, which is a really nice one from Greenwood. So, and that's it. That's all I have.
Okay. Well, I'll talk. I don't have a lot either. I picked up my emotional support chicken. I started knitting on that, but not done. I'm about to start the second stripe. Poppy Tea by Jo Cottle. I'm working on that right now, knitting on it. I have knit about 10 inches of the body, and it says a total of 13. So
okay, that's inches, good. Yeah,
and then I'll try it on, because I may want it longer than that. I'll see. So I'm making decent progress on it. I will say I've been a little tired at night.
Yeah.
I haven't really been knitting a lot. I get into bed, and I think I'm going to knit, because that's probably too much information. I get into bed and knit, but anyway.
Well, you've said that enough times before. People know this.
I know, but it's like, oh, anyway. Anyway, so I'm working on that, doing pretty well. But I did, the last time we talked, I had pulled out that big 2-pound cake of roving of Targhee. And remember I was saying how I was sneezing so much?
Yes.
And so we were talking about that. Anyway, what I did is I just pulled off the outer layer and set it aside. And now I've spun one bobbin of singles out of that and no sneezing. So I think just by removing that outer layer, it really helped. But then you had said about dyeing some, that's 2 pounds of that is going to be a lot. You would just get bored with it. And I thought, yeah, you're right. And so I did, in the middle of all of this, house guests and garage, I did pull off 2 4-ounce bunches of the roving and dyed them. And when I dyed, it turned out to sort of a burgundy color. I put in, the dye was called Fire Engine Red. So it's a really, really bright red. And I put in some, a little bit of yellow and some navy. And it turned into this really nice, it's a really nice color, kind of a burgundy kind of. And then another one, I just dyed, one of the colors of the, it's called spruce. It's kind of a blue. It's like
I think I
green,
have that dye color. Yeah.
It's a nice color. And so I just did that straight. I didn't mix it. And the spruce color, the green, I used the smaller dye pot, and it didn't really hit all of the, even though I had soaked the fiber for a couple hours because I was busy. It didn't I think, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me just say the dye did not attach evenly over the fiber. And so with the red, do you remember talking about one of the podcasts where we talked about purging and cleaning and fantasy projects and the idea of what you're going to do and getting rid of all that dye stuff? I had put it in the pile to go to the Goodwill, but I've not actually gone to the Goodwill. So I went down and I pulled one of the bigger pots out of the Goodwill pile.
Good.
Thank goodness I hadn't gotten rid of them. And so having the larger pot, I think the dye attached more evenly. And because when you if you're dyeing yarn, you can kind of stir it or move it around in the pot, not vigorously, but you can kind of move it around. But I have to say, this fiber, we were talking about how it's like, we think it's pin drafted. It's very thin. It's only about 1 inch wide and then very, very thin. In fact, when I'm spinning, I don't have to pre-draft it at all. I can just spin right from that cake of roving. So what I did is I took the nitty knotty, and instead of, how you do that, not a figure 8, but how you use the nitty knotty, to make like a yard long skein, I just put the nitty knotty, instead of being, opposite, the top and bottom opposite, I just made them parallel, and I wound sort of short little skeins and tied them pretty securely, not super tight, but tighter than you would yarn if you were dyeing it, because I didn't really care if I had some areas that were skipped because I'm just spinning it.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then I didn't want to stir very much because it's very, very delicate. In fact, even winding it onto the nitty knotty, I was breaking it sometimes. So I was really worried how it was going to turn out. But I think it turned out pretty well. I was really worried that it would felt or something, or just fall apart because it's so delicate. But I think stabilizing it I think I had about 8 ties on there. It turned out great, and I've started spinning the green color, and I'm able to just wind it off. It's not even really sticky at all.
Nice.
You'd think maybe with some action, it would have kind of stuck, the fibers would stick to each other, but it's not, it's coming off great. So that was a really fun project. So I'm going to dye some more. And of course, Kelly, when you're spinning, you start thinking about what you might do with it.
Right.
And I kind of think the singles are very, very fine. And so I'm going to make a 3-ply. And I think even as a 3-ply, it's probably going to be fingering weight, maybe.
Yeah.
It might even, or sport weight. So I'm thinking I might use it for weaving. It'd be kind of fun to
that's
weave.
a good idea. Yeah.
Just, make like a plaid blanket or something. I don't know what I would do. I'm just thinking because I don't know. Mm-hmm. But
well, I have a blanket that I've marked that someone wove where they actually sewed panels together, 3 panels, and I had always thought of sewing panels together, like making 2 of them. And I've always been sort of hesitant to do it that way because I think of stripes and I don't want to have to match the stripes. But this was really pretty. It was solid in the middle and wider. So they wove a wide panel and then they wove 2 narrower panels with vertical stripes. So the weft was pretty much, I think the weft was the same throughout the blanket, throughout all 3 of the pieces of the blanket. So really quick weaving, I think it would be. And then the warp is what created the vertical stripes. And then you sew the 2, you mattress stitch the 3 panels together. And then when you full it, what you're hoping is that seam kind of disappears, or you can actually make the seam as part of the design.
Yeah.
And then you blanket stitch the edges. Anyway, it's interesting that you should talk about a blanket because I have been thinking about blankets with some of the spinning that I've been doing this summer too. You get sometimes, depending on how much you're spinning, you're going to get more than a sweater quantity. 2.2 pounds is definitely more than a sweater. It's probably more than a blanket. But
I'm just going to interrupt just to say, if I can spin that much, that's a lot.
Right. Well, and you don't have to.
I know if I could.
Yeah.
No, I don't have to.
You don't have to spin it all at once. But anyway, it's interesting that you should be talking about a blanket because I've been thinking about it too, and thinking about a blanket for the trailer because the one that I made is a little small to be more than just, when I originally made it, I made it to be like an Afghan for the trailer, right? Not like a bed blanket, but we've been using it as a bed blanket and it's a little small. So I started thinking about, maybe I'll make one that actually fits the trailer as a blanket on the bed. And then I found this other one. Anyway, so interesting that you should be thinking about blankets too, because woven blankets too, because that's what I've been thinking about.
Yeah.
Well, I saw the colors that you dyed, and I think it's going to be fun to spin them. The fact that it didn't dye all the way through, that it didn't penetrate all the way through, is not really going to matter because you're spinning it, so you'll get a nice like tonal.
Yeah, I think it's be fun, and
you'll get a hint of the green. You'll get a hint of the original color with the green, which is kind of what you wanted.
Which is kind of what I wanted because it is, as I've talked about, it's kind of it's a brown and a light brown, and all I've dyed before is just cream colors and whites, and so I was interested to see how that color is going to look over the brown and how it changes it. So I'm kind of I'm actually totally fine that there's some brown showing through because it will all blend. And you know what, Kelly? In the end, if I don't like it, you know what I do? Once I make the yarn, I can over dye the yarn.
That's right. That's right.
I think I'll like it, but it's not the end. It's a,
there are several places where you can intervene in the process if you don't like what you're getting.
Yeah.
And then
so
just
I have
a tip
to,
for if you want to try to get more coverage with the dye. You said you had soaked it for a couple of hours, but it still seemed like maybe it didn't get thoroughly wet. Or that, the dye didn't penetrate. Part of it is the size of your pot. But another thing you can try is using a little bit of soap, a little bit of dish detergent.
I did.
Oh, okay.
I put a little Dawn in there. Both the soaking water and the water on the pot.
Okay, yeah.
But I think the second one, the red one, I think most of it was my pot was too small. Yeah, I think that was the main thing. And then also being hesitant to stir it or move it. So and the other one, when I found out that the green one, I was scared. Let's see. the green one was the first one. I figured out I needed a larger pot, but I realized I didn't touch it at all.
Oh, yeah.
And the red one, bigger pot, and I did take my metal spoon and kind of like, I didn't stir it, but I kind of just gently just sort of drifted it around in the pot a little bit to kind of, and I think that helped too.
Yeah.
Just kind of moving it a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it'll give you a sense of how much you can move it. Well, it sounds like you had a pretty successful dyeing project, Marsha. I'm glad you were able to get that done while you were unable to do anything else, waiting for the garage to be painted. So, but I wanted to talk a little bit about a designer that I ran into. So I was sitting there spinning the gray, looking at different color combinations on the shelves in the sunroom and thinking about a colorwork sweater. And I sent Marsha a bunch of links to some patterns that I was looking at, fingering weight, colorwork sweaters. And the ones I kept being drawn to in my search were by a designer named Rachel Ilsley. And she's unwind knitwear, and her patterns, they're just, I think, I don't know if you could say colorwork is unique, because the motifs of colorwork are all fairly standard and well used, but there's just something very delicate about the colorwork. Yeah. Partly, I think, because it's fingering weight, but also I think because she uses not high contrast colors. So, I mean, I favorited or marked so many. Actually, what I did in Ravelry is in the advanced pattern search, if you click on the 3 dots of a pattern, one of the things you can do is save and compare. And so I did that with a bunch of the ones that I liked. I just, I did a search for fingering, light fingering, color work. And then as I was going through and looking at all the patterns, I would just click the 3 dots on the pattern picture and click save and compare. And so now I have, I think, 12 or 14 patterns in this save and compare that's saved in my Ravelry. And what I noticed was they were all her sweaters. Almost all of them are her sweaters. And so then I just started looking at her sweaters, and they're just so beautiful.
Yeah.
One of the ones that I was really drawn to was called Orbits. And she calls it the Einaudi collection, Einaudi collection. And it's they're based on music. But the Orbit sweater I really liked. And then you mentioned one. What was the one that you really liked?
Well, I think they're all beautiful, but there was another one that she did it's not color work, it's just textured around the yoke.
Oh, right. I see it.
It's the Organics collection, and it's called Sculpt.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. They're really, as you say, they're very delicate color work because she is using finger weight, but they're really pretty. So she does a lot with the color work, and then a lot with texture. And there's one here I was noticing too. It's called Sundial, and it's the same. You can do it either as color work, or you can do it with texture.
Oh,
so the same pattern, but it's on her front page, her pattern page, where it's the second row down.
Okay. Sundial.
In between. Yeah.
Oh, I see it. Oh, interesting.
And there's another one. Yeah. I think there's one called Awakening. It's just really beautiful. It's
yeah.
They look like leaves or something. I don't know. Very interesting. I think the thing that's unique about her color work too is that she doesn't use a lot of colors. It's the main color and then just one contrasting color.
And it's really not very high contrast.
Right. Yeah.
which I think
very,
is
very pretty.
what attracted me in the first place. Some of them are more high contrasty than others, but yeah, I was really drawn by her patterns, and I just wanted to give a little highlight. Not a designer I had ever heard of before, and I hadn't looked at any of her patterns before. And they're not all colorwork yoke sweaters. Sometimes the yoke extends down like 3/4 of the body. Sometimes it's the full body. I remember when we were taking I don't know if you took the Craftsy class, Fit to Flatter or Knit to Flatter. And one of the things, I'm trying to think of what her name was. Amy? No. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Is that Amy Herzog?
Yes, thank you. That is her name. Thank you, Marsha. I know listeners were shouting at their
really
at their iPhones. You're out there walking the dog yelling, Amy Herzog. But she talked about in the Craftsy class, she talked about how the way that something fits can, make a big difference in the way it looks on you and the way it makes you look, like what it does with your own body type. And one of the parts of fit was where the colorwork hits. And so she talked about the line of colorwork, like either including or excluding parts of your body from, separating or combining parts of your body. And so she showed like on a person where the colorwork hit them above the breast, the fullest part of the breast, and then, just above the fullest part of the breast, and then someone where the colorwork hit them kind of up higher on the neckline, and then someone where the colorwork hit down below the fullest part of the breast. And it really made a difference in like looking like you had like a long torso or a shorter torso or like sagging breasts, I guess. I don't mean it in a negative way, but it's like if you with color associate the bust with the top half of your body, or if you associate the bust with the bottom half of your body. Anyway, where the colorwork falls makes a difference, is I guess what I should say. And it really was true. She had different people trying on the same sweater, and you could really see that it made a difference. And so I like these patterns because there are a variety of lengths of the colorwork. Some of them are just the neck. Some of them go down below the bust. Some of them are kind of stopping right above the bust. And depending on your shape, it'll make a difference how the sweater looks on you. And so anyway, I just was really intrigued by her patterns, and I am going to be making one soon. I don't know. Well, soon. I shouldn't say that. I'm going to be making one. I'm not sure which one because there's so many beautiful ones to choose from. And the two yarns that I had been thinking of, I don't think I'm going to use for this sweater. I think I'll use for a different sweater. But I may use the gray that I just finished as the background color. There are several of hers that are gray background with a soft, a soft contrast color that I'm drawn to. So I think maybe using the gray that I just finished for one of these sweaters, one of these pullovers would be really nice.
Yeah. No, they're really nice patterns. I mean, they're nice designs.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. And then the pattern that I am going to use for the yarn that I was just, the yarns that I was just looking at and thinking about, the two yarns from the NoCKRs retreat. There's a dark blue and then also a dark blue and then a multicolor. And the sweater that I'm going to use for that is Heidi Marie Kaiser, and the sweater is called Graffito. And I think this one will work better for the type of colors that I have.
Yeah.
And the other reason I'm drawn to this pattern is I've already made one of her patterns, and I always get compliments when I wear that sweater. It's the brown dragonfly fibers silk sweater, and the neckline, the neckline on that sweater is wide. And there's just something about that neckline and the way the shoulders of that sweater fit that I really like, and I always get compliments about it. And this one looks very much like it starts out kind of with the same shaping. So that's what I'm going to use probably for the next sweater I cast on. I've got the yarn all sitting there waiting to be kicked up. So on the docket. When the summer spinning is over. Or maybe before it's over. We'll see.
She has some really cute patterns. As you were talking, I was just looking. She has another one that was published. Let me see. Looks like first published May of 22. And it's a T-shirt. And it's called Why Not? KNOT. It's towards one of the last. It's in the...
Is this the Rachel Ilsley sweaters?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. I'm back on that. And it's in the macrame collection.
Oh, okay.
And it's really cute. It's has this she does a lot, like as we were talking about, she does a lot with yokes, and this one has a yoke, but it's all kind of open lace work. It almost looks like it's knitwear, but it almost looks like crochet, the lace work.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't that cute?
That is really cute.
I know. I think I might make. I was just thinking, this is terrible, Kelly, but while you were talking, I was thinking, what yarn would I use to make that T-shirt? Anyway, funny. Well, and it's cute because it's designed to use a variegated yarn or you know those yarns that have like little spots of color on them? Yes,
like speckles.
Speckles, yeah, very cute. Anyway, just looking at that. Anyway, okay. Well, is that all you wanted to say about the about sweaters and what your future projects?
No, just I probably won't have more than one sweater on the needles before the end of the summer spin-in. I think I am gonna try to start one of them, the commercial yarn sweater from the NoCKRs, the two NoCKRs retreats, the Heidi Marie Kaiser sweater. I think I probably will start that before, I don't know, September 2nd is the end of the summer spin-in. That's coming up really fast. So we'll see if I get a sweater on the needles before the end of the summer spin-in, but yeah, it's coming up quickly.
Yeah. Well, so that's what we were going to talk about, summer spin-in. So you just talked about it, but it ends September 2nd. Yes. I don't think I'm going to finish my spinning. Well, I know I'm not going to, but I'm just going to keep plugging away at it. And then, Kelly, we have to talk about our Walla Walla Washington visit and our plan to go to Pearl to Walla Walla.
Yes.
And I know we just, before we recorded, you decided to go put the link to the shop in the show notes and discovered they are closed.
Yes.
Or about to close. I think they have like 3 more days of business, we discovered. So they're closed.
Yes.
So
very
we will not
sad.
be going to I know, we will not be going there.
No.
We never made it to Walla Walla. We met them at Stitches, I believe. And always planned to go. And we have the trip planned, but sorry to hear they've closed. So
yeah, sad. And I don't know if there's any other yarn shops in the area. There used to be, I know, but I think they were the only one in Walla Walla at the time that we met them.
Yeah.
So anyway, but we will be there. In Walla Walla.
Yeah.
At our 40th, my 40th, your 41st college reunion. We're old, Marsha.
I know, as I've been hauling stuff up and down the stairs. I know this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Yes.
no. Oh, well. I'm looking forward to that trip, though. I think it's going to be super fun.
Yeah, I am too.
I mean, the thing is, I was thinking about, I was like, I don't even really care what we're doing. I just want to go. It'll just be fun to hang out there. I have no idea I haven't received any information yet about what the college is planning. For the celebration. I'm registered and everything.
Yeah.
But,
just thinking about the other one I went to early on, I think maybe it was 5 years. I can't remember.
I went to my fifth.
There was like a reception the first night, and then there were some events, like there was a play or something, and there was I
remember there was some kind of something in a musical event of some kind. I don't remember. I don't. But then we went to I remember going to the basketball game.
Oh,
there was a basketball game. So because school's in session, right? So in September. So I remember going to the basketball game.
So yeah, it'll be fun. I'm just eager to walk around town and go past all the old haunts, see how much of it looks familiar. How much of it I can actually remember from that long ago. Yeah. And I hear there's really good food in town.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's you'll be shocked, Kelly, because I think the last time you were in Walla Walla, wasn't it 2005 when you came for Christmas?
It was 04.
Oh, that's right, 04. Because we had just gotten back from semester at sea that December, and you guys came to visit, and you came through Walla Walla.
Yeah.
So that's 20 years ago.
20 years ago was the last time I was there, and it had changed a lot from 84 to 04. And that year it was Christmas break, so nothing was open. All I could see was external things at the college, and we didn't have a lot of time. I think we spent only one night there, and we went to the Pendleton woolen mill the next morning. So we didn't have a lot of time in Walla Walla. It really was literally an overnight, basically an overnight stop. On the way to somewhere else, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about it, and I think it'll be like you said. No matter what the events are that are planned events, we are going to have a great time. So
yeah,
you'll everyone you'll hear about our antics. Yes, we may not be in our 20s anymore, but we're gonna party like we're in our 20s.
Well, I say we may not be, but we still have antics. So
That's right. We'll have some fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Anyway, and then you want to talk about the wool auction?
Yeah. So this the wool auction this year is back to Labor Day, Monday, which is September 2nd. And it's at the Monterey County Fairgrounds, and it starts actually before the viewing of the wool starts before the fair even opens. You come in at gate 5. If anybody's coming, you can contact me and I'll get you more detailed information, because it's super hard to find the information on the fairgrounds website. You have to go and look in the exhibitors booklet, and then you have to find the wool show exhibitors, and it tells all the exhibitors what to do and when the show is, but it doesn't have the auction front and center on the fair events. If you go to the Monterey County Fair and you look at events, it won't be in there at all. You have to know to look in the exhibitor's booklet. So anyway, but I am planning to be there. As you know what I'm going to say. I have no business buying any fleece. So I'm not going to be able to go to the wool judging. I was planning to go to the wool judging, which is this coming Saturday, but I'm going to a memorial instead for Robert's uncle who died last year, and they're having the memorial I think around the anniversary of his death. So we'll be at that memorial instead of at at the judging. But even if you don't go to the judging, one of the members of Anne's Web, Patty, she takes a lock of every fleece and washes it. And there's a board, so you can see on the board what every fleece looks like, a lock of the fleece washed up. Mm-hmm. And that is super, super, super tempting when you can see what it's going to look like. After you take it home and wash it up, you just, how can you resist? So
I was thinking of events. I did not put this in the show notes because I kind of had forgotten about it because I don't need to go. But next weekend, August 17th and 18th, is the Flock Fiber, which is the show they had a year ago at Hangar 30 at Magnuson Park, and they've moved it now to the convention center. And Kim asked me if I wanted to go, and I'm like, I guess. And so she bought tickets. We're going on Sunday. We don't have a lot of time to be there, so we're not going to be there for hours. But my text back to her is like, yes, I'll go. And then in all caps, I said, I'm not buying any yarn. Because I bought a little bit in Alaska. So
a little bit.
A little bit, yes. But apparently some of the Alaska dyers are going to be there.
Oh, that's nice.
So so it'll be kind of interesting to check that out. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so I'll put a link to it in the show notes. And actually, I believe it starts Friday. I think it's the 16th through the 18th.
Okay.
I think it's Friday evening through Sunday. So, but I'll put the dates in the show notes.
Okay. And it's called Flock Fiber.
Yeah, Flock Fiber.
Okay.
And then, are you going to I was listening to the two Knitlit chicks, and they're going to Lambtown. Are you going to go to Lambtown this year?
No, I won't be able to go to Lambtown this year because I'm going to be at a dog show.
Okay.
That's our last dog show of the season. It's the first weekend in October, I believe, is Lambtown this year. And I'm going to be at a dog show or I'm going to be in Walla Walla.
Yeah.
If it's at the end of September, we're in Walla Walla. And if it's the following weekend, I'm in a dog show. So no Lambtown for me this year, which means my only opportunity to buy fleece is at the fairgrounds. I'll get a fleece if I go there because I don't like them to go no sale.
I know.
But
it's your
other people
your
have
charitable contribution for your charity work for the year.
Other people have to come. I mean, lots of people in the Anne's Web Guild do this, right? Support the growers by buying fleeces when they're going no sale. But hey, all you fiber adventurers out there, come take the burden off of us.
Yeah, really. I know. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's it.
Okay. All right. We'll talk in 2 weeks then.
Okay.
And go give Barry a hug.
Okay.
and Bailey too.
Yes.
Because he's such a good boy. They're both good. A good boy and a good girl.
Yes.
So. Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2usfiberadventures.com.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the 2 U's
doing our part for World Fleece.